Well, welcome everybody. My name is Bonnie. I'm the Superintendent of Community Engagement, Bonnie Emerson. It is Indigenous protocol to acknowledge the traditional territories one visits or seeks relationships with. Such acknowledgement is viewed as an expression of gratitude. As Winnipeg Police Service employees and members, I think it's important to recognize that and acknowledge that we're privileged to work and live on this territory. The history of the lands and our desire to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation. I would like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 1 territory, the home and the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Show Lake 40 First Nation. I would also like to recognize the long-standing history of the Anisininew here in Winnipeg. They come here to access supports and services, and many have made Winnipeg their home. Even more important, a land and water acknowledgement also focuses on the present and the future steps that we're willing to take to explore and define shared goals and partnerships with Indigenous peoples. I believe this is one of those steps. So to that end, I would like to acknowledge, or begin by acknowledging, the items on the table to my left. These are items that Ganawe Mananig, sorry Sandra. In English, we take care of them all. The Manitoba MMIWG 2S Plus Implementation Community brought these items during the trial of the serial murder investigation, or in serial murder court case of Jeremy Skibicki. It's going to be the only time I mention his name. I'd like to share the items as explained to me. The red cloth representing the people. The red dress that was made by the community of Ganiganichuk that sat in court every day as well. The buffalo headdress that was brought to court every day to represent, honor, and remember Meshkoti Bijikwi Ekwe Aban. Before we begin, I just want to share this name was gifted by community, Denama Thelma Moriso and Toby Jolly. And I'm going to ask them to come up and share the significance of this name with you. In order to show our respect, to start this in a good way, I present Toby and Denama Tobacco, thanking them for doing this for us all.
Tansi, Toby Jolly Nitikaswin. My name is Toby Jolly. I'm a helper in the community, and I've had the privilege and honor of walking with families along with many other community supports on this path for the last 3 years. I think the reason I specifically have been asked to speak here today about Mashkade Bijiki Ekweban and how she came to be known by this name while we awaited confirmation of the name that was gifted to her by her family in life. In May 2022, I remember our little corner of the world being rocked with news of Rebecca Contois, as well as many other MMIWG lives lost during that month. Later that year in December, we learned of 3 more women connected to Rebecca, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and 1 more woman the police had not been able to identify. That last woman sat with me, appeared in my dreams, and weighed on my mind and heart. Seeing her called Jane Doe, or the unidentified woman in news articles and called these same names in conversations because that was the only way we had to speak about her. In my struggle with this, I had the clear and resounding thought that we could not call her that. Both of these, despite being the language available to us, are very specifically non-identities. From the beginning, she felt deeply real to me and connected to our community. I didn't know what to do with that feeling, so I brought that to people much more knowledgeable than myself to speak to my emotional struggle and ask the question, what should we call her? I believe Denema will speak to the specific name given with more clarity and knowledge than me, so I'll leave that to her. But to the family we now know, Mushkade Bijiki Ekweban belongs to, our hope in giving a name was to give her as much dignity and respect as she deserved, to honor the sacred identity she carried, even though we didn't know who that was. And as the community, to claim her as our relative and act as relatives as best as we could. Until she could be returned to you, and now likely forever, we would give her our love, our care, our respect, and our attention, and call for others to do the same. I am very grateful to be here today with our community and with her family as we receive answers about a woman we loved intentionally.
So when I say bonjour, Ninbit Highway, Venice, Kendigo, Gaia, what take up with Kendigo, Makado, them, need to be me down a I want to acknowledge Mashkade Bijiki Kweba today. I want to acknowledge her parents, her family who have not been able to be here today, but we keep her in our thoughts. We keep them in our thoughts. I also want to acknowledge the leadership that is here and acknowledge, to say, I think it's important to say that this would not be happening today if we didn't have the strong will of the families, impacted family members, who pushed and pushed for this search to happen. And further, if the provincial government, led by Premier Kinew, and the federal government had not seen the importance of this as well. So we wouldn't be here. We would still be looking. So I want to acknowledge that and also acknowledge all the other dignitaries who are here today, the elders who are here, to our community. I'm a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and I'm a ceremonial person, meaning that I have gone to the lodge for over 30 years. And one of the most significant people in my life was a grandmother by the name of Noje Kweba, who has gone on to the spirit world. It's my husband's adopted mother, and we called her Grandma. She's significant in my life, in addition to my own mother and my grandmothers as well. Noje Kweba was a fourth-degree Medewan in the lodge, the Medewan Lodge. And often she would go fasting. And for those of you who don't know, you go out into the bush by yourself. You sit on the earth. And basically what you're doing is you're praying for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, until the spirit tells you to go home. And you do that without food and water for those 4 days, and without your cigarettes and your coffee, just to be clear. And on her fourth night, and this happened back in the 90s, late 90s, Noje Kweba, who was an elder by that time, quite elderly, went on her last fast. And on the fourth night, the third night of her last time on the earth, sitting on the earth, a beautiful buffalo spirit, a grandma buffalo spirit, visited her and sat with her and gave her many teachings about us as Anishinaabe Kwe, about women, and what she saw about us and how we were walking in creation. She saw our pain, she saw our sorrow, and she saw that we were not walking with our head up, but our head was down. She gave her so many more, but one of the most important things she said to her, I see you. I see all of you. And I want to give you a gift so that Anishinaabe Kwe can stand up strong, hold her head up, and walk upon the earth in the way that she's meant to. Touch the earth, our mother. And she said, I want to give my name to all who don't yet have their spirit name. And so it was Mashkude Bijiki Kwe. And she directed Noje Kwe to take that and spread that throughout creation, wherever she was going to do her ceremony, to tell the women, if your spirit name has not come to you yet, that's the name you can walk with. And so through the years, as I have sat with her as one of my primary teachers, there are many women who walk with that name. And I say to my relatives here, you too, if you don't have your name yet, that's your name. That's your name. When you go out in the mornings and you lift your tobacco, use her name. Mashkude Bijiki Kwe. That's who you are. You are that beautiful spirit. And put your tobacco down. And they tell us, when we do that, everything in creation stops to turn and look at us. And they say, there's my daughter. There's my granddaughter. She's doing her work. She's putting her tobacco out. So that can happen for you as well. And when all of this happened to our women, to our families, and we know it started way back even before Helen Betty Osborne, that it started even before that. But in this particular time, when Mashkude Bijiki Kwe was being called as that unidentified individual, our community, women, grandmothers, we sat and we talked and we said that she needs to have a name. She needs to be recognized because she's important. She matters to our community. She matters to the world. She matters to all of us. She's not going to be just that unidentified person. And in order for her spirit to rest in that beautiful place we all go when we walk out and dance out that western doorway, she needed that name. Mashkude Bijiki Kwe. So that's the name. The community prayed about, asked the spirits to help us do that work. And I am a firm believer that if we do it in a good way, that we do it with good intention, always remembering our Sema. Grandmothers and grandfathers hear us. They do. Those old ones, maybe far back 7 generations, they understand. They understand us. They know what we're asking for. And so we were sanctioned to do that. And I was honored to be able to do my work and helping to ensure that one now is known as Mashkude Bijiki Kwe. Forever she is known in that way in the spirit realm. And forever she will be honored, not only there, but here as well. I am grateful as our community, Giganawe Namananek, in the work that we do, as small as we are, small pieces of work we try to do to help push the 231 calls to justice forward. We do it with all good intent, led by my sister Sandra, and so many other good people who said, you may not know them, but they're there in the back doing the work. And so it is such a privilege for us to be able to be grateful today. Be grateful today. We know who she is. She does have a family. We're still her family because we adopted her. This represents her. We adopted her. Our whole community adopted her. and took her in as one of ours. But she also has that other family that is now can have a little bit more closure. And so we give thanks for that. We ask to say, Migach to Gisha Manado, Mede Manado, Mishomasanana, Kokomasnana. And to all the spirits that work for life and understand what it is that we have done. I give thanks to that grandmother, maybe over 30 years ago, who was given that name, and look at what it has done for us today. So I say to Anishinaabe Kwe, take that name if you want. Because once in a while, that buffalo spirit said the way you can thank me is use my name and give that buffalo yell. I won't do the buffalo yell because I'll probably scare all of you out of here. With that, I say Kachimi Gach, and while my heart hurts, but I'm happy. I'm happy because of what has transpired. We have the Harris family here. We have the Marin family here. We know that those are good things, the Kontoa family, and now we have Mashkud Ebijikikwe, who's been identified. Miigwech ni kanakana.
Thank you. I should acknowledge the City of Winnipeg Indigenous Relations Division for helping me with some of the wording of the land acknowledgement. And just for everybody to know that when you ask an Indigenous person to do the land acknowledgement, we're not obligated to follow the traditional. And so it was really important to start this in a different way and to provide the acknowledgement in a more wholesome way, fulfilling for what is about to come. So I want to start by acknowledging there's family members that aren't able to make it at this point in time, but they are watching virtually. We do have family members of Rebecca Conchois, Morgan Harrison, Mercedes Myron here and watching emotionally, so I'd like to acknowledge them. Premier Wab Kinew, Minister Smith, Minister Wiebe, Mayor Scott Gillingham, Grand Chief Kyra Wilson, Grand Chief Seti, Grand Chief Daniels, Chief Raymond Flett, Chief David Meaches, Regional Chief Billy Moore, Knowledge Keepers, Elders, and Community Members, Knowledge Keeper Grandma Shingoose, Sandra Delaron, Stan Lapierre, and everyone is here to support the family of Buffalo Woman. We're all impacted, or have been impacted, everybody in this room. It was announced in the news release that we will be confirming the identity of Mashkode Bijikwe Aban, also known as Buffalo Woman. Speaking will be the Premier Wab Kinew, Mayor Scott Gillingham, Assembly of Manitoba Chief Grand Chief Kyra Wilson, the Chief of St. Theresa Point Anisininew Chief Raymond Flett, Police Chief Jean Bowers, Winnipeg Police Chief Jean Bowers, and Deputy Chief of Winnipeg Police Cam McKidd. Well, I also wanted to thank you for your patience. We started late, we changed venues, and I wanted to share that the reasons for that is this response, the magnitude. Our headquarters has limited access. And we know this impacted family, community, government, each of us individually. So we talked to the team, and you may not know this, but it's very hard to move systems and get us to change. But it was important, and so we changed venues. Not the most ideal, but we wanted to make sure there was room for everybody. to allow room and voice for affected family and community to attend. It is, however, about providing answers for Buffalo Woman's family, and I am so very honored to be here. There will be some formal speakers, as I announced. Questions from the press will be taken at the end. They'll also have opportunity for individual interviews with Winnipeg Police Service members. I can't speak to the rest of the dignitaries, so for press members, you'll make inquiries on your own. I can't speak to their availability. After the media conference is completed, Winnipeg Police Service members, including myself, are going to stay in the auditorium and have further conversations with family, with affected members, to have those needed continued conversations in a more personal space. So, thanks for your patience, Chief. I would like to welcome the Winnipeg Police Chief, Jean Bowers.
Okay. I just want to thank, firstly, the families, the Contois family, Myron family, and the Harris family for coming together today with us. Premier Kinew, thank you. Grand Chiefs, thank you for coming today. It's very important that we're here together today. Today is a difficult day. The update that we're here to provide will undoubtedly trigger strong emotions. Everyone is affected here. From the Indigenous community who embraced an unknown victim whose life was lost and gifted her an identity, Muscode Beje Kwe, or Buffalo Woman. To the family who have been missing their daughter, sister, and mother. I just want everyone to know, and to the family, during and after the trial of the convicted serial killer, investigators from the Winnipeg Police Homicide, Missing Persons, and Forensic Identification Units remained steadfast in their determination to identify Buffalo Woman. Yesterday, homicide investigators and our family support and resource advocate traveled to St. Theresa Point Anisininew Nation with heartbreaking news for loved ones and community, and the community that Buffalo Woman has previously or positively been identified as Ashlee Christine Shingoose. Our hearts go out to Albert and Theresa Shingoose, Ashlee's parents, and all the members of St. Theresa's Point who received this unbearable news. Your daughter deserved to be named, and we offer our condolences. I would like to acknowledge the passionate and dedicated efforts by the community, and in particular, Indigenous leadership, for their efforts to ensure that Buffalo was not forgotten, that she is loved. I would be remiss not to acknowledge that the initial decision not to search for the remains of Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron has significant impact on the families and the community. We have had time for reflection, almost nearly 3 years. While we cannot undo the past, we can learn from it. Today, we know what needs to be done. The Winnipeg Police Service has reached out to leadership from the City of Winnipeg and the province of Manitoba to start the discussions on a humanitarian search for the remains of Ashlee. We are early in those discussions in terms of what a search would look like, but the Winnipeg Police Service is supportive of a search being undertaken, and is committed to being part of those efforts. I'm now going to ask Deputy Chief of Investigations, Cam McKidd, to come forward. He will share details of the extensive investigation which has brought us to this point today, as well as the location where we believe the remains of Ashlee are located. Deputy Chief.
Before Deputy Chief Cam McKidd comes up, I just wanted to say that we acknowledge and recognize that this is going to be very hard news to hear. We do have our family resource and support advocate. If anybody would like to leave, the first classroom across the hallway is also being live streamed. We will have some smudging and some support staff available if you do want to leave. And Sam, if you don't mind raising your arm, she'll be offering supports if anybody does need it. Sorry, Cam.
So thank you everyone for being here today. I must say it was overwhelming to come into the room half an hour ago and see the scene here. We typically do these pressers in a different room that's much smaller. Clearly the right decision was made to hold it in a larger venue so that you could all be here. I can tell you that last night I was making some notes to speak to the investigation today. And as I kind of feel the spirit in the room, I must say I'm concerned that the level of detail that I was prepared to provide, I'm reconsidering. So as I go through my notes here, I will take you through the investigation. If you see it a little bit disjointed, I might be sort of amending things on the fly here. I hope you understand. Having said that, we will be taking some questions here. I'd also be happy to take questions from individual media outlets after this press conference. So if it's more appropriate for you to put your questions to us outside of this room, I'll certainly make myself available for as long as we need once we're finished here today. First and foremost, I would like to start by joining Chief Bowers in offering my sincere condolences to the Shingoose family. I can't begin to imagine what their family and the families of Rebecca Contois, Mercedes Myron, Morgan Harris, went through for these past 3 years. This has been a horrific tragedy, and the families of Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Ashlee Shingoose, I just can't imagine what they've gone through. It's beyond words. And for the Shingoose family, my hope is that the news that they received yesterday, along with the path forward that will be discussed in the coming days and coming weeks, will provide at least some small measure of closure for their family going forward. So as I said, to put these recent developments that we're here to talk about today into proper context, I'll be providing a brief overview of this investigation, which will lead to a more detailed explanation of the progress that was made that brought us here today. This investigation was certainly one of the most complex investigations in the history of our service. It began on May 16th, 2022, when our homicide unit was tasked with investigating, sorry, I'm told to speak up. Okay. I just have a quiet voice, so I'll try here. Sorry. It began on May 16th, 2022, when our homicide unit was tasked with investigating the death of Rebecca Contois in the River East area of our city. The following day, on May 17th, 2022, investigators arrested Jeremy Skibicki, and under interrogation, he admitted to the murder of Rebecca Contois and implicated himself in the murders of Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and as we know now, Ashlee Shingoose. If you'll excuse me for a moment, I'm just going to grab my water because thanks very much. At the time of his initial arrest, the Crown was consulted, and it was determined that Mr. Skibicki would be charged with Rebecca's murder, while investigators continued to gather evidence to substantiate charges with respect to the other 3 murders that he confessed to. This investigation involved, among other things, the most extensive video canvas in the history of our service, with investigators reviewing over 7,500 hours of surveillance video. This was important work because it resulted in the discovery of crucial evidence, including video footage of Mr. Skibicki with Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Rebecca Contois before the murders. It also discovered video footage of Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron wearing specific clothing items, which investigators linked to exhibits that were seized during the course of the investigation. Further video footage located also showed the accused in this matter disposing of the remains of Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Rebecca Contois. Investigators also reviewed over 560,000 digital artifacts located on electronic devices belonging to Mr. Skibicki. In doing so, they identified key pieces of evidence that allowed us to gather evidence and establish timelines with respect to all 4 murders. The investigation also involved over 60 interviews, 25 different types of judicial authorizations, and the seizure of over 5,000 physical exhibits, of which over 130 were submitted to the RCMP lab for forensic examination. In addition to these investigative steps, I can tell you that from the time of Mr. Skibicki's initial arrest on May 17, 2022, until as recently as this week, we have never stopped in our efforts to identify Buffalo Woman. To this end, our service established 2 separate task forces. One was in January of 2023, and the second one was in October of 2023. The task force established in January of 2023 was a 5-member task force, and it was assigned to conduct an in-depth background investigation into Mr. Skibicki's past. The purpose here was to identify a Buffalo Woman, as well as any other potential victims of Mr. Skibicki, living or deceased. This was an exhaustive 4-month background investigation that delved into all aspects of Mr. Skibicki's past. It included over 40 interviews with friends, family, and acquaintances dating back to his childhood. It also included an examination of every address, organization, or agency with which he had a nexus with since his childhood. These efforts didn't identify any additional victims, nor did they identify Buffalo Woman, nor did they establish any links between Mr. Skibicki and any long-term missing person files, including historical devote files. We found Mr. Skibicki was not particularly mobile, and there was no evidence to suggest that he left the country or the province. He never held a valid driver's license, and he never had a vehicle registered in his name. This task force also investigated numerous tips from the public regarding Buffalo Woman, none of which resulted in a positive identification. The October 2023 task force was created specifically in relation to Ashlee Shingoose. There was evidence that linked her to Mr. Skibicki's suite, and at that time she was a missing person, a long-term missing person. So we were obviously very interested in looking at her as a potential as being Buffalo Woman. So this task force was struck up in the hopes of establishing further links between Ashlee and Mr. Skibicki. Unfortunately, despite an exhaustive effort, no further evidence was found linking the pair. In May of 2024, the evidence collected by the police was ultimately presented in court by senior prosecutors Christian Vanderhooft and René Lagimodier. And this led to Mr. Skibicki being convicted on all 4 counts of first-degree murder on July 11th, 2024. On August 28th, 2024, Mr. Skibicki was sentenced to 4 life sentences in relation to each of these heinous crimes. Following these convictions, our investigators continued in their efforts to identify Buffalo Woman. These efforts never stopped. As a result of these continuing efforts, on December 17th, 2024, homicide detectives conducted a post-conviction interview with Mr. Skibicki at a maximum security facility where he is serving his sentences. During this interview, new information was provided to investigators that established that the remains of Buffalo Woman, as she was known at the time of this interview, were taken to the Brady Landfill in March of 2022. In conjunction with this new information regarding the location of Buffalo Woman, additional information was received which led our investigators to seek further forensic testing of exhibits in an effort to positively identify Buffalo Woman. Results from those forensic tests were received on March 11th, 2025, and March 24th of this year. As a result of those tests, we were able to confirm the identity of Buffalo Woman as that of Ashlee Christine Shingoose, born July 28th, 1991, of St. Theresa Point First Nation. As noted by Chief Bowers, this news was delivered to the Shingoose family in person yesterday by detectives and a family support and resource advocate from the Winnipeg Police Service. I'm going to close things there. Just closing thoughts. I can't begin to recognize the people I see in this room as much as I'd like to, both internal and external. It's just not possible. So just please know if I'm not addressing you or singling you out, it's just impossible to do in a room like this, unfortunately. I would, though, in a general comment, like to acknowledge certainly community, Indigenous leadership, and the media as well for keeping Ashlee front and center and always maintaining a sense of urgency to move this to where we are today. We were certainly with you all the way, and yeah, those are my comments, so I will now turn it over to Bonnie. Thanks very much.
I'd like to ask welcome the Chief of St. Theresa Point, Raymond Flett. If you'd like to come and provide some remarks.
I have one councillor, and yes. Oh, there she is. I want to introduce my council. There's three of them here. Andrew Flett, Shauna Harper, Clarence Mason. Thank you sa gitin na gabsaik gibsin na gumakanak say thank you Premier Wab Kinew Police Winnipeg Police Force Superintendent, thank you. Kaya nasa nanggwendantin mga kanipo yan. Nada ci kitangin. I standing here before you to address the people regarding the circumstances of our late member Ashlee Shingoose. The parents began to to them Majebak plane couldn't land back home this morning. The parents would have liked to be here, but according the weather wasn't cooperating, so the plane couldn't land at their airport. I just want to mention that it's hard. It was hard. I was in Montreal meeting with Kahnawake peacekeepers regarding a justice program. When we got the news from the superintendent, we had a Zoom call with the council back home. Okay, we telling them what the superintendent has disclosed. The family, parents, Albert and Theresa were there. It was heartbreaking. But at the same time, we welcome the news that there is a light at the end. Something that we all strive for. It is a blessing from our Creator. I don't have anything prepared, but I do want to say that the discovery, I want to thank Winnipeg Police. It's a significant event for us back home and for all the Indigenous people, the city of Winnipeg, province of Manitoba, and right across the country. It is profound. It signifies our history and the ongoing struggle for justice for everybody, especially our young women, our women. Some are still out there missing. Ashlee Shingoose represented not only an individual whose life was taken too soon, but also the countless Indigenous women who have gone missing or have been murdered without proper investigation, accountability, or closure for their families. It's a painful story that we have experienced. A painful reminder of the injustices faced by our Indigenous women. We have to together, everyone, that we need to put more action regarding our justice system, especially when it involves young people. I have a message from the family, the parents. They couldn't be here, so they sent this message, and it states, this is from the mother, Theresa Shingoose. She says, please start the search as soon as possible. It's been a long time waiting. I need to bring her home. I need that closure. It's been too long. Enough. Search the landfill as soon as possible. I know it'll take time and going to get harder. This new update it takes me back. It's hard reliving the hurt. This is from Albert Shingoose. And that's all I have for you. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief Flett. I would like now to invite Grand Chief of Manitoba Assembly Chiefs, Grand Chief Kyra Wilson.
Good afternoon. Anin, Buju, Tanse, greetings to all my relatives here today. Today we gather in a moment of deep sorrow and reflection, but yet, you know, we recognize the strength and the love that you know, binds us together as First Nations people. I stand here this afternoon offering my deepest condolences, to Shingoose family, as well as leadership from St. Theresa Point. I know that this information, that's, you know, confirmation of what has been long feared by the family. And while it does bring answers, it doesn't ease the pain of the loss. And I just want to, you know, say that the Assembly Manitoba Chiefs will be here to support the Shingoose family, as we have supported the Myron family and the Harris family and the Contois family. And, you know, there's so many you know, pieces to what we've been dealing with in terms of search the landfill. And, you know, I acknowledge the families and the work that they have been able to accomplish, you know, while they're grieving. And I also acknowledge the province and the Premier and the federal government, that they have come together to search the Prairie Green landfill. And as we've heard today, Ashlee is in the Brady Landfill. And I know there are many discussions that we do need to have alongside the Winnipeg Police Service, Province of Manitoba, the federal government, and the City of Winnipeg. I know the search the landfill with Prairie Green landfill, a lot of that fell on the families, and it fell on the Assembly Manitoba Chiefs and our leadership and our late Grand Chief, and the province of Manitoba, you know, supported this work, and the federal government supported this work. And I think right now what we see is more answers to the crises that we're dealing with, and we all need to come together. You know, I acknowledge our Winnipeg Police Service here, our Chief of Police. You know, thank you for that continued effort to get answers for the family. And there's a lot of work ahead of us. I know that the family, as well as Chief Flett, identified that we do need to search the landfill as soon as possible. Of course, we don't have any plans. We haven't had any conversation surrounding that. Today, we are here to support the Shingoose family at their pace. I couldn't even imagine what the families continually feel every single day. And we're here for the Shingoose family and the community and the leadership. in whatever supports that they are needing. So there are many discussions that we will be having in the next, I would say, a few days, and to make sure that we are moving forward with a landfill search. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that is here, and thank you to everyone that is listening. Thank you to everyone that supported the landfill search at Prairie Green. And now we are now discussing a search at the Brady Landfill. And this is another search that we have to take on for the Shingoose family. And everyone, I believe, will come together. And I just want to say thank you again for all the love and support that everyone has shown the families. And I know that this information has been very difficult for many families that are impacted by the crises that we talk about every single day, is missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit. Also our men and our boys. And there's so much to discuss surrounding that. There are many people that we need to connect with during this time. And right now we are supporting the Shingoose family and all of families impacted by MMIWG2S+. And so I just want to say thank you again. I know this is a very difficult day for everybody. It is very triggering for everybody. But just know that we are all here to support one another and to love one another and to show kindness to one another. So I just want to say thank you again. Miigwech.
Thank you, Grand Chief. I'd like to invite the Premier of Manitoba, Wab Kinew.
Thanks, Bonnie. Just ask my colleagues to join me up here. If we could ask Deputy Chief McKidd to join us, and Chief Bowers as well, too. Ashlee Shingoose Kijinakazo. Ashlee Shingoose Kijinakazo. Ashlee Shingoose Kijinakazo. Ashlee Shingoose Kijinakazo. I think it's very important that we say her name. And we remember her. And so with that, I want to, on behalf of the province of Manitoba and the great people that call this place home, send our most sincere condolences to the grieving parents and family of the late Ashlee Shingoose, also known as Mashkatepej Kwe Bun, Buffalo Woman, the late Buffalo Woman. By saying so, I also want to acknowledge the families of Rebecca Contois, of Mercedes Myron, and of Morgan Harris, and to thank you for all of the advocacy and the leadership that you've shown the people across Canada these past few years in advocating for your loved ones, and for continuing, I can vouch for this, continuing to advocate for Ashlee even before we knew her name. So miigwech. To the chiefs of the First Nations and to the chiefs of the Winnipeg Police Service, I offer you a warm and hearty handshake and welcome you to work together on bringing Ashlee home. I want to say to Ashlee's parents, to her mom and dad, who I had a chance to speak with briefly yesterday, I promise you that we are going to search the Brady Landfill for your daughter. I cannot promise you that we will bring her home, but I can promise you that we are going to try. And the reason why I'm here on behalf of the provincial government is to show that we're going to work together with all levels of government, including Indigenous governments, and the Winnipeg Police Service, to search the Brady Landfill and to do our best to bring your loved one, Ashlee Shingoose, home so you can memorialize her and honor her in the way that you see fit. I know there will be many questions, and those answers about what a search will look like, when we will begin, how it will be undertaken, will take time for us to sort out. If you recall the process to search Prairie Green, there were any number of safety and environmental and family concerns that we wanted to address along the way. And now we have a new family that we need to work with and to begin to sort through how we are going to search Brady. And for clarity's purposes, we are still searching Prairie Green. I can tell you that we are continuing to find remains and important items relating to Mercedes and Morgan. And so we're going to work with the families, Contois family, Harris family, Myron family, and Shingoose family to bring them along in a good way. The reason I chose to attend this press conference today is because I want every single Manitoban to be safe, including Indigenous women. And every Manitoban will be safer when the police and the Indigenous community can work together and have trust in one another and put the shared interests of all people in Winnipeg and all people across Manitoba first and foremost in the work together. And so I'm here to encourage that work to take place. We heard important words from the Winnipeg Police Service leadership today. There is a new chief of the Winnipeg Police Service. And what I wanted to say is that the calls of the families and the community to search the Prairie Green landfill became a conversation in Canada about reconciliation. And I'm very proud that the people of Manitoba, even though there were many ups and downs and many difficult conversations along the way, I'm very proud that the people of Manitoba answered and said, in this province, when somebody goes missing, we go looking. And that applies to everybody, including Indigenous women. And when we started to search Prairie Green, we didn't know what the odds were that we would be able to bring Morgan and Mercedes home, but we have been able to deliver that to the families, and they will be able to move forward. And we keep the Contois family in our thoughts as we do this work, and now the Shingoose family will be there too. And so, the conversation about reconciliation requires us to give space for people to learn. And it requires us to be patient. And so to hear the Winnipeg Police Service say that they are learning and to see the new chief come forward with this information, I think is important for us to work together with and to show an openness towards welcoming. And I know there's going to be many more tough conversations to come, and there will be future issues that we have to sort through in a difficult way together, but we must be committed to working together for the shared interests of making every person in this province and in this city safe. And reconciliation, we'll see that take place. Reconciliation, when pursued properly and pursued with an open heart and a good mind and solid intentions, will make this province safer. And so to the people of Manitoba out there who've been watching this and don't know how they felt through all the difficult moments of the past few years, I hope that you recognize that through the ups and downs, we are moving closer to a province and to a Canada that is going to be safer, because there is going to be more trust, there's going to be more cooperation, there is going to be more shared interests for everybody, no matter where you come from in this province. And you're seeing all leaders from every level of government, including police leadership, coming forward to say this matters and we're going to work together. And I think that that is a very important thing for us to recognize. And I know that this does not make the healing journey or the questions that families still want to ask go away, but it does perhaps indicate that some progress is being made. And in addition to having your loved ones being returned to you, I hope that you also know that you're changing Manitoba and you're changing Canada for the better. And future generations of girls and women and Two-Spirit people will be safer because of that. And so as the leader of this province and as a leader on a United Team Canada, I want to say thank you. I want to say miigwech for taking up that work, and to the great people of this province who have been very patient and who have had an open heart along the way, I want to thank you for having an open mind. And even if maybe you weren't in agreement before, I want to recognize that you have been willing to have that open mind and to continue to accept the truth of these families and to accommodate that. So returning to the Shingoose family, I want to offer again my sincere condolences. I want to take a minute to acknowledge the very specific pain that you have had to experience in not knowing your daughter and your relatives' whereabouts for the past few years. I also want to acknowledge what must have been remarkably challenging 24 hours since you have found this information. But I want to commit to you that we are going to work with you to bring closure and to bring healing. And to people across Canada, I hope that at the end of this journey, that this has been a healing moment for our country too. Alors j'espère beaucoup que pour tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes dans ce pays, que cet moment qui était un grand défi sera un moment pour promouvoir l'unité et puis une guérison de ce que nous avons vu et vécu comme un pays en tant que la réconciliation et les femmes autochtones décédées. We've smoked the pipe a few times with the Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron families, and I look forward to being able to pray with the Rebecca Contois and Ashlee Shingoose families. Let's continue to say their names. Let's continue to honor them. What happened to them should never have taken place, but their journey calls on each and every one of us as Canadians to learn from what went wrong here and to commit to working together to make the future right. Miigwech, merci, thank you very much.
Thank you. And now the Mayor, City of Winnipeg, Mayor Scott Gillingham.
Thank you very much. I want to acknowledge the Premier, the Grand Chiefs, the Chiefs, the Chief of Police, especially today. I want to acknowledge particularly Chief Flett and his council from St. Theresa Point. Also want to thank Regional Chief Will Moore, who gifted me months ago this beautiful medallion, and it's an honor to wear it today. Want to begin by expressing my deepest condolences on behalf of the people of Winnipeg and my council to the family and friends of Ashlee Shingoose. I had the opportunity to speak with Ashlee's parents, Albert and Theresa, yesterday on a phone call to share my personal sympathies and condolences to them, as well as the thoughts of the people of Winnipeg. We had a good conversation. I was moved by their kindness, their gentleness. And as a father with an adult daughter, as I listened to Albert, I said, I can't imagine your pain. I also pledged my support and the support of our city to participate in a search of Brady Road, so that Ashlee will make every effort and as the Premier said, we will make every effort to bring her home. Ashlee Shingoose, Rebecca Contois, Mercedes Myron, Morgan Harris. I repeat their names because they mattered. These women are not statistics. They are daughters, they are sisters, mothers, aunties, and friends. They're members of our community. Their lives mattered, and their loss continues to be felt deeply within our own city and throughout the entire province, and indeed beyond, throughout our nation. And while today's announcement may bring a measure of clarity, it's not closure. There is still much healing to do, still much work ahead of us. Together with the province of Manitoba and with the federal government, and with the families and with Indigenous leadership, we will determine next steps in the search operation. I do want to take a moment to thank Premier Kinew and acknowledge him for his immediate commitment to this search. The province's experience and other families' experience in its work at Prairie Green will be invaluable, and we certainly welcome and need their leadership and partnership. Our city staff at the Brady Resource Management Facility maintain detailed GPS records and bring operational expertise that will contribute to a safe and effective search, and they are ready to assist however they can. I also want to recognize the Winnipeg Police Service, including our new chief, Jean Bowers, for continuing to pursue the investigation and confirming Ashlee's identity, even after a conviction was secured. That ongoing effort matters. That ongoing effort has brought us to today. But we must also be honest that the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls did not begin with this case. And tragically, we must work hard together to ensure that it doesn't happen anymore. That's why we must continue to act together through every level of government, every partnership possible, with Indigenous leaders, community members, families, and organizations to ensure safety, justice, and accountability, to make our city safer. I can tell you as the mayor of the city, I am not satisfied to be here today. We all must work to do better so that Winnipeg is safe for all people. And we must continue to confront the conditions that leave too many people vulnerable right now. We owe that to Ashlee. We owe it to Rebecca, to Morgan, to Mercedes. And we owe it to every Indigenous woman and girl in our community. Thank you.
Okay. So I would like to acknowledge Theresa and Ashlee Shingoose. As the Chief Flett had noted, we're not missed the initial plane to come to Winnipeg because of weather, but they are, I believe, on their way, and we have made a commitment to ensure that they meet with police members to have that conversation with them today and beyond if they want those further conversations. Questions? That includes all of our formal prepared presenters. There are mics at the back of the room. We're going to ask the media to attend to the microphones to ask the questions. Depending on the question, we'll call up the relevant speaker just so that everybody in the room can hear the question. Cam? It's quite hard to hear people here. So we're, the police service members, sorry, one moment. Can you say it from here? As we're gathering our questions, I have a question for our tech team. Is there a way to live stream or have the father say, have Albert say something? Can we put him on speaker and he can say it here?
Yes.
Is he on the phone?
I don't know. Who knows how to do this?
Kelly, is there a way to make that happen? Yeah, maybe phone him and then he could speak through the phone. Is he on the phone? Let's give him a phone call and then if he's okay, we'll put him on speakerphone. So Dad, Albert Shingoose is in St. Theresa Point and he's asked to make a comment, so we're going to phone him and see if we could put him on speakerphone. Otherwise, if there's another way to do it, okay.
Can you, I'm going to put you on speakerphone for Albert. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, speak. Can you hear?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, we can hear you, Albert.
Albert.
You might need to turn down the live stream on your end, Albert, and then we can hear you. You can talk anytime.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just wanted to thank all of you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you, every one of you, even the families that's there. Thank you for everything, for being there, for your loved ones, and our loved ones too. I just want to say thank you for everything, and what's his name? Wab Kinew. I want him to sing one song before I leave to the airport. Please, thank you. And I'll let my wife say a few words also.
Good afternoon. This is Theresa, and I just want to thank everybody for all the work, that everybody's doing. for thinking of us in your prayers. I want to thank everybody. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
At the request of Albert Shingoose, he asked the Premier to sing a song.
Song is from South Dakota, belongs to Quanah. Yeah, 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 ha. Hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, we, yeah, ha, ha, yeah, oh, hey, hey, yeah, 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 ha. Ashlee, way, yada, ya. Ashlee, way, higher, oh, hey, 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 doy. Way, yeah, way, yeah, yeah. Way, yeah, hey, oh, ha, ya, oh, hey, yeah, 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 ha. Ashlee, way, yeah, yeah. Ashlee, way, higher, oh, hey, hey, oh.
Thank you, Premier. Okay, so we have questions.
Yeah, hi there. Eddie Huban, City News. My first question is for Premier Wab Kinew, actually, as well as Grand Chief Kyra Wilson. I was hoping you could both respond to this. With the commitment to search the Brady Landfill, I know that the family of Tanya Nipanak is here today. Will she be included in that search as well?
Thank you for the question. You know, I acknowledge that the family of Tanya Nipanak is watching, and I believe some family is here in the room. And of course, this is a conversation that we do need to have. And what I will say today is, you know, we hear a strong message that we don't leave anybody behind. But today, you know, I want to support the Shingoose family. There's a lot of emotions and love that we need to share with them. And so we'll just leave it at that. And there will be other conversations for another day. But today I want to acknowledge the community and the leadership and the family of Ashlee Shingoose. Miigwech.
Thank you. Good? Okay.
And sorry, Mr. Premier, I was wondering if you had a comment on that as well.
No, I think she said it all.
Hi, everyone. T.R. Waitley with APTN National News. I just want to say, if Albert and Theresa, if you're still listening, you guys said it all along. You knew that was her. So I really hope you guys can, you know, help with your next healing part. So in relation to that, I was actually going to ask the same question earlier, so I'm trying to think of one fast. But I guess can we just talk more about the reconciliation process and how that's, you know, important, because for a long time, our community was very disconnected with the police, and you know, the new police chief is trying to work on that. So can we just talk about that a little bit more, please? From the police chief, probably, from his point of view?
Thank you for the question. Definitely, we need to work on reconciliation, and you know, the path forward is with the AJI, the MMIW, TRC, and UNDRIP. The path is already written. We just have to listen, and we have to act. Someone said something about acting. We need to act on it. It's there. Actually, the AGI is a very clear path forward to reconciliation and building relationships and respect for everybody. So that's been my goal is I'm freshly in here, so we're definitely looking at everything from that, or from those lenses as an organization. I hope that answers your question.
Hi, Juliette Strat from Radio Canada. I have a question for Premier Wab Kinew in French, if possible. Yeah. So now that the identity of Ashlee Shingoose is known, what are the next steps? Quelles sont les prochaines étapes pour vous?
Bien, en tant que le Premier ministre du Manitoba, je voudrais juste lancer un message aux familles que nous sommes désolés, et puis j'espère qu'on pourrait guérir les grands défis que vous avez vécus. Puis nous sommes toujours en train de fouiller le dépotoir de Prairie Green, et on continuera ce travail avec l'engagement des familles de Mercedes Myron et puis Morgan Harris. Et puis maintenant, en même temps, nous devons commencer de penser de comment est-ce qu'on pourrait engager la famille de Ashlee Shingoose pour aussi fouiller le dépotoir de Brady. Alors, ce sera une grande liste de priorités et défis que nous devons engager avec, mais nous sommes convaincus que l'approche qu'on pourrait travailler avec le plus de succès serait de travailler ensemble, en tant que gouvernement provincial, fédéral, civique, autochtone, et puis avec les polices en même temps.
Et justement, comment est-ce que vous réagissez à l'engagement de la police? À quel point c'est important de collaborer avec le service de police de Winnipeg?
C'est très important parce que le projet de réconciliation demande à tous les Canadiens de faire du travail. Il y a beaucoup de travail qui a été fait par la communauté autochtone ici dans le Manitoba. Et ce que j'ai vu aujourd'hui est un service de police de Winnipeg et un chef qui est engagé avec un projet d'apprendre de ce travail et puis d'engager avec la communauté. Alors pour moi, je suis ici comme un premier ministre du province pour avancer le projet de créer un Manitoba où tout le monde a un sens de sécurité personnelle. Et puis, je trouve que ce projet sera avancé quand les polices, quand les communautés autochtones, quand tous les niveaux de gouvernement seront capables de travailler ensemble.
Merci.
Merci.
Hello, everyone. I'm Timur Durrani from the Globe and Mail. I'm going to ask this question really on behalf of the country at this point for the Winnipeg Police Service and perhaps also Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew. I'm also going to ask this on behalf of our late Brand Chief Kathy Merrick, who would have wanted to ask this question at this point today. How could we trust you as a country to conduct this work now when this was work that was not conducted back in 2022, and at that point, even the identity, some of this information that we are now learning today, we know these dates, we've been given these dates, but can you be at this point, as in the other search for the other women, the RCMP has now been put into that, how can the Winnipeg Police Service be trusted here to work on the Brady search if it couldn't be trusted with the Prairie Green search?
Correct. So I guess we were just asked that you give us a chance. I'm committed to reconciliation. I'm committed to searching Brady for Ashlee's remains. I'm standing here today in front of everybody, the community, giving you my word that that will happen. So yeah, as I said earlier, we've lessons learned, and we've had many lessons. So I think moving forward, we're going to hold those lessons close and move forward. Thank you.
To follow up on this, and perhaps Premier, you could also comment on this, what is the difference here at this point with the Brady search? Because for Ms. Contois' family, Chief, there was a search conducted at that point as well, right? And
Correct.
those remains were found. But at that point, of course, there was no indication that Ms. Shingoose was there as well. Could you tell us at this point, how will this search be done? I know this is very early conversations, but can you tell us what the difference at this point would be in which you would conduct this search at Brady? Any information would be quite helpful for us to understand the difference here at this point.
Well, maybe I'll just give you a high-level answer to that. The two landfills are two completely different environments. So there's going to be a lot of different challenges in Brady than there were in Prairie Green. So we have to be cognizant of that and move forward carefully, so we don't want anyone getting hurt or injured or sick from it. So we're going to have to take those different environments into account. The search that we conducted when we found Rebecca Contois' remains was like hours after we found out that potentially her remains went to Brady and where it went to Brady. So we're able to really control that environment where we're able to, and it still took quite some time to actually find her remains. So again, they're all different scenarios and different challenges.
Chief Bowers, Josh Crabb with CBC Manitoba. We heard in court in the police interview, the man now convicted in these deaths told investigators what he did with Ashlee's remains. Did police have any indication at that time, based on that interview, that she might be in Brady Road landfill in May 2022?
So not to, I don't know if Cam, you want to answer that one, but there was varying roads of information that we had, and there wasn't clarity. Yeah.
I also just wanted to ask you.
Do you have anything else to add to that, or? Yeah.
Sorry, not sure where the question came from, but I think, as I understand, could you just repeat the question now?
Well, we heard in court in the police interview that the man convicted did with investigators. He told them at the time what he did with Ashlee's remains. So based on that, did police have any indication where Ashlee might be?
Yeah, I think in a general sense, with that first interview, when we take a statement from an accused like that, and it was an inculpatory statement where he's admitting to various things, there's different levels of accuracy with the information he's providing to us. With respect to Rebecca, for instance, the information was fresh. It was very accurate. We could corroborate it through video and other investigative avenues. With Ashlee, we're talking about March 15th, and there's a lot of things with Ashlee's, the discovery of when she was missing, that sort of thing. It played out over a long time. So the degree of accuracy with the information we received in that initial interview, we had a general sense what happened, but in terms of the specifics, it wasn't quite there. I spoke today about the investigative avenues we went through to try to shore up that information. Unfortunately, the way our legal system works, once we interview somebody once, we don't get to ask them any further questions until they go to court, unless there's new charges. So we would have liked to ask some follow-up questions of Mr. Skibicki to clarify some things. The timeline, As we know, the identity was an issue right from the start. There were some inconsistencies with what he told us with respect to Ashlee initially in that March 15th statement. The post-conviction interview that occurred December 17th, it gave us the opportunity to ask the questions we wanted to ask for a long time, and it provided that level of certainty, that level of clarity that we didn't have before. So it was an important step. I'm sure there's a lot of interest in that interview, and I can tell you it's not as easy as it sounds. There's a lot of legal concerns when somebody's been convicted and they're in prison. The last thing we wanted to do was do anything that might jeopardize those convictions. It was extremely difficult to get there, but when the time was right, we had a lot of conversations internally about what that might look like, that interview. It's something we felt we had to do because we'd exhausted all other avenues, and we had discussions with Manitoba prosecutions on this as well. So it's not a simple process, but it's something we really wanted to do. And I can tell you that simultaneous to us having those discussions with our Crown prosecutors, there was an indication that Mr. Skibicki would be potentially cooperative in those discussions. So that made it easier for us to move that forward. Hope that answers your question.
And if I could just ask one more, I think for Deputy Chief McKidd on this as well. The family was previously told that DNA for Buffalo woman wasn't a match to theirs. Can you explain why that was and the complexities of that?
Yeah, there's not a short answer because it's a complicated case, but we did get some DNA off that. You recall the baby fat jacket that we had put out in the public. There was an indication that in that initial statement that Ashlee had been wearing that jacket. We believe she was wearing that jacket. Unfortunately, sometimes when you have a piece of clothing, there might be different profiles on it. Even though Ashlee was wearing it, which we're confident of, there's no guarantee that the DNA that we swabbed from that jacket was hers. It made sense. That's the direction we went. We know now that DNA profile that came off of that jacket belonged to somebody else. So I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Hi, Chris Kitching from the Winnipeg Free Press, and still questions for you, Mr. McKidd. And the answers may be upsetting for some people in the room or watching. But do police have a general idea of where within Brady Landfill Ashlee Shingoose may be? Is there a cell that has been identified?
We are aware that during that time, March 15th of 2022, the dumping at that time was going to cell 32, I believe, at Brady Landfill. That's the same cell, you'll recall, that we searched for the remains of Rebecca Contois in. So I can tell you that once we went there, I believe it was May 15th, 2022, when we went to that cell to begin the search for Rebecca, that cell was shut down at that time. And I believe towards the end of June, when we completed our work there, the cell was shut down. I don't believe any further dumping took place between that time and now. I believe they did some minor capping and shoring up. But I believe that area remained untouched for the past, since that time.
What additional items?
$5,000 physical items from this investigation, so there's a finite limitation to what we can send to the RCMP lab, so we just can't send everything. But with that interview, it gave us a direction and a specific item of clothing, a pair of pants, that hadn't been sent to the lab that we were then able to send to the lab. And we waited patiently for those results to come back, which they did on the 24th of this month. Yeah.
I'm Kathleen Martins from aptnnews.ca. My question is for the police or the mayor. What type of changes to security, garbage dumping are contemplated for the landfills, since this seems to be something that has happened and may continue to happen in terms of looking for remains?
Thank you. I could maybe address a couple of those things. As I mentioned in my comments, So we have and require GPS tracking on all trucks, so whether it's City of Winnipeg trucks or private contractor trucks, that every truck be outfitted with GPS so that we can track each and every load that comes into Brady Road landfill. And we also have video that's set up there as well at Brady Road to make sure that there's a video image of every vehicle that comes in and out of Brady. So when we started talking about this more earnestly, when the news started to break a few years ago. So, and I said then, I'll say now, and where possible, if there are other opportunities, other initiatives that we as the City of Winnipeg can put into place, other procedures to make sure that we are doing the best we can to track all movement in and out of the landfill, we'll always look to implement new things.
Could the police add what they would like to see at the landfill?
Maybe in respect to our policies that we have as far as landfill searches, we've had a complete review of those. So having the connections to the proper entities or people at the different landfills is keeping those types of things ongoing and up to date. So, and how to deal with, because like I said, different landfills have different challenges. So, we've planned to sort of put in place what we need to go to, engineers, things like that, to do things differently.
Okay, if you could stay there, because my next question's, my follow-up is for you. I know that today it was announced that Brady will be searched, but will this be the position of the Winnipeg Police Service going forward, that if it is believed that remains are in a landfill, that it will automatically be searched?
Again, depending on what the environment is putting, definitely our intention is always we need to try to search to find someone's loved one in the landfill. So we will go in that direction if we can do it. So I don't know every hypothetical, but definitely if we can do it and we have capacity and support, such as now we have support, we have community support. So I think, we can overcome a lot together.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Crystal Green with Indigenous, and my question is for any friends or family members of Ashlee Shingoose who might be in the room. I was wondering if you could tell us about who Ashlee was as a human being and what were some of her attributes.
Not to put any of the family, if there is anybody from St. Theresa Point, you're certainly welcome. But if they're in a space where they don't want to acknowledge it, I can say that Ashlee and Theresa and Albert Shingoose are watching right now. They're at St. Theresa Point Councillor Office, and they posted a picture, and so we've included them in the live stream to acknowledge their presence.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And this concludes media questions. We'll just break out into scrums.
Okay, so the media, if you would like to.
We just have the same question. We're going to ask it on behalf of the family. Just one question. All of us have the same thing, if that's okay. We all are still wondering at this point how we can believe that there are only 4 victims. This is, again, Tamor Durrani from the Globe and Mail. I have to ask this, again, all of us have the same question here, and it's important for the police to acknowledge why we can still believe there are only 4 victims, and that's a word only being put on it because it's all been dependent on his confession.
Because to add to that, also during court, we heard there was 16 DNA profiles in his apartment. Now, of course, we can't say foul play happened, but
Yeah.
to acknowledge that.
Yeah, so what I'll do, 2 parts to your question. I'll start with the first one. I spoke to the 2 task force that we put together, and we had the same concerns you had, to be honest. That's why we did that. We saw these 4 murders happen within a very short period of time, and instinctually, our thought was there's probably more here. That's why we put together that task force to look at every single connection Mr. Skibicki had since childhood. We looked at neighborhoods he lived in. We looked at where he where he played, where he did sports, everything you could possibly imagine. And we worked up from childhood right up to the date he was arrested. Our computer system has a lot of contacts for people, and it spiderwebs out. And we spoke to every single person we could locate that had anything to do with Mr. Skibicki. We had our crime analysis unit, which is very good at taking an individual and looking at where he's resided and looking at unsolved crimes in that area. We had our missing persons unit do a deep dive into any missing persons that might fit that profile. We looked at old devote files. We spent months and months on this because I agree with you. It seems surprising that somebody would have a level of violence like that in that short period of time, and there wouldn't be other victims. I would never stand here and tell you I can guarantee you there isn't another victim out there. I can tell you that we scrubbed everything we possibly could, and we didn't find any other ones. We found Mr. Skibicki on both occasions, his first arrest and the subsequent one that happened in December of 2024. We found him quite forthcoming and candid. We didn't get the impression he was hiding things from us. Having said that, we wouldn't trust an accused person. We do our own legwork, and we did that. Again, I wouldn't tell you, I can guarantee you, but we've done everything we possibly can to identify other victims. We went through all the old historical missing person files, looked for any connection to Mr. Skibicki. We looked at all the old devote files, same thing. And there were no links that came up that caused us pause and that we decided, okay, we need to look down this road. We just didn't get there. So I hope that answers your question. It's a good question. It's one that we shared, and that's why we struck up 2 task force running simultaneous to our investigation to flush that out. An important piece of it for us as well, and I mentioned this, Mr. Skibicki he wasn't a mobile person. We'd have even more concern if he traveled from province to province, if he worked up north, if he traveled down south across borders. It's just not the case. He wasn't very mobile. He was a Winnipegger. He certainly didn't leave the province. We have no indication he left the province. He certainly didn't leave the country. So that gave us a fairly tight parameter to work within. Had he been transient and traveled across the country, we would have expanded the scope of our inquiries with other jurisdictions, with the RCMP. We don't see a need to go across Canada because, as I said, he was a local person who tended to stay local. And I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of your question.
The 16 other...
Oh, yes. Yeah, so you have to picture a crime scene like this where somebody's in a residence and they have people there on a regular basis. A lot of them are unhoused. And what you end up with is 5,000 exhibits. So you end up with, when we start sending things for DNA profiling, we get a lot of hits back because there's a lot of DNA on these items. It's not to say that every DNA hit within that suite is connected to somebody who was murdered. We're confident that we have gone through those exhibits, and the DNA we've sent off, I think I mentioned 130 exhibits went to the RCMP lab. That's almost unprecedented. And we were going to that level of detail for the reasons you're bringing up here today. We wanted to make sure that we were capturing what we needed to capture. There's going to be DNA profiles from that suite that we haven't identified. If we have a pair of gloves and there's 3 different profiles on them because they've been shared amongst people in the community and their DNA is not on file, we're not going to get a hit on it. So we didn't depend on that solely for our reason to continue investigating. We did the work that I've explained we did, and we're as confident as we can be that there's no further victims out there.
Hi, sorry, T.R. Wheatley again. One last question, but I'm done with the officials. But I just wanted to open the floor so we don't kind of traumatize any of the other families, Morgan's family, the Myrons, Contois. Anybody want to say anything at the podium so we all don't try to get you later? So you kind of do a one-time if you want.
We're going to ask the media then to have one-on-ones outside. The family and community supports, if you'd like to stay and have conversations with members of the police service and any of the leadership that's here, outside of the eyes of the camera will stay in this room and have those conversations with you. So if the media, if you have any requests, go through the communications manager, Kelly, at the back of the room, to request who you'd like to interview, and we'll end today. And I just wanted to thank everybody for their time and their patience. Miigwech.